and leads and shows you the path that you are to follow. So in 2017, my school was rebranding from Nova Academies to Nova Pioneer. This meant that in the coming year, we'd get new uniform. This disturbed me so much because the uniform that we had only been using for a year was now considered useless, yet there were so many people who lacked the basic need of clothing. So I decided to share my idea with my mom, my thoughts, and that's when my spark was first ignited. She encouraged me and she connected me to a company called Africa Collect Textiles. And Africa Collect Textiles aim to collect old and used textiles for recycling. And she also encouraged me to share my idea with the school. After doing so, my teacher realized the potential in me and she pushed me to write a proposal and to pitch my idea to the leadership team of the school. This was when my spark was further ignited because it pushed me to a point where I had to give my all into this project. And that was when Smiles was born. In 2019, we had our very first collection in partnership with Africa Collect Textiles, and we collected over 400 kilograms of clothes from our student body. In addition to this, I was able to be connected to the Ashoka network, which has given me guidance in my Changemaker journey, and have also opened more doors for me, such as attending the Impact Africa Summit in 2019. So, so far, we have been able to donate to 2 children's homes, namely Dream Children's Home and Wings of Hope Children's Home. I have also received the opportunity to be part of the Watson Institute, where I have been able to gain more skills as a social entrepreneur. And I've also been able to gain mentorship on how to further scale our impact as we work to make sure that the lack of clothing as a basic need is no longer a problem facing our country. But how many youth are like me who need that spark to be ignited? Where would our country and continent at large be if all the youth knew the power that lies within them? And that is my challenge to us. Ignite the sparks. Let the flames burn, assuring us of a brighter tomorrow. I would like to hear from the panelists. What are you doing to support young people like me who have found their spark and are on this Changemaker journey? What are you doing in general to support the space for budding social entrepreneurs and social innovators? Please welcome Kathleen Mwangi, as she's the moderator of this panel, to follow up on this question and others. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Jean. And I hope the panelists have heard your question, because that's what I'll start with, what you're doing for enabling the youth. But before we go there, allow me to introduce our panelists today for this second session. And the conversation you're having is building a stronger, more connected system. And we are privileged and honored to have Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, who was recently nominated as our first female Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya. Thank you for honoring us with your presence, ma'am. Karibu sana. We also have on the panel Maslin Obuya, who's the founder and CEO of Wolenje Africa. You're most welcome, Maslin. Then we have David Chebroyot, who's the manager East Africa for E for Impact. And last but not least, we have Dr. Brother Jonas Yawobi Seneku. You're the director of Institute of Social Transformation at Tangaza University College. You're most welcome. Once again for hosting this event for us. So to kickstart, we also are expecting 2 panelists to join us on virtual. As soon as they do, I'll be able to introduce them. There's something that has been the thread throughout this session from once we started in the morning, and that's the importance of networking, the importance of mentorship, the importance of knowing or having an awareness that this is not those trips you take in life solo. You need people around you, and it's constantly learning. So you learn from one, they teach you as well. There's opportunities to learn. So far, we've been able to glean that We've also been able to understand the importance of just being patient. It won't happen overnight. And if it's worth doing, then it's worth being patient for, as well as persistence. So I'm looking forward to see what comes off this afternoon as we converse on leveraging the ecosystem to accelerate social innovations and to advance the Changemaker movement in Kenya. And I will have to start with you, Brother Dr. Jonas. The dependency syndrome. And you were here in the morning and you heard how Kenya and maybe Africa, not maybe, actually, Africa in general is very strongly resourced, especially in the areas of food and agriculture. But you find we import so much from the West. And Honorable Martha Karua gave the example of Israel being a desert, and we get food stuff from them. Basically, they do that to the rest of the world, I think, and Egypt as well. And so in your studies and in some of your, what do you call it, insight papers, you speak heavily against the dependency syndrome. And so you encourage that people have to work for ourselves, we have to work for development. Could you speak to that in as far as being a change maker is concerned? Why to turn a blind eye to dependency?
Yeah. Thank you, and I'm very happy with what I'm hearing in this room today. And let me say that the dependency syndrome that we have in Africa is, let me call it a disease, and a disease of our mind, the mindset. Okay, Honorable Martha Karua talked this morning about the leadership problem that we have. And I think it's a main contributor to this dependency syndrome. I look at it from personal level, community level, and state level, because we have individuals who have been kind of trained to be dependent. Then we have community who are totally dependent because they have been given things, and then they believe that they can't do anything for themselves. We have, in Africa, we have states that are very rich, countries that are very rich, but very dependent. It's very surprising, shocking. We have some of, I get shocked when I see some of our leaders with a country immensely rich and then going to Europe to beg, you know. So I think what we need to understand is that dependency syndrome, it's disempower people. It's also really take away from people any spirit of initiative, creativity. So, and also I look at this also as a question of dignity. You know, when you are dependent, you don't, as a human person, you don't have any dignity. So what we need to do is basically to say, look, we have what it takes within us, around us, to be able, you know, to develop. I hear story, these are things that are created. And when you create this, the one helping you is taking satisfaction in helping you, but want to see you in that situation. So Africa, what we need really to do is to deconstruct this mentality that we have to receive from elsewhere for us to develop. And even if we are going to receive, how do we receive? Is it, you know, as we were talking this morning, the philosophy that is in Africa in supporting each other, in that sense, is good. But I think there is something that we can do to fight this dependency syndrome, because that is what is preventing us in Africa to develop. We have to start educating people to change their mindset. That's why I find the importance of training, of communities, of groups, really to get out from that. I think that's some of the things that we are trying to do, really to get people out of this dependency syndrome.
So it's an education of change of mindset. Definitely. And I want to tie that to our Honorable Lady Justice. About 5 years ago, you sat for interviews for the position of Deputy Chief Justice. And the position went to Honorable Philomena Mulu. And recently now, you sat for interviews for the Chief Justice. And the reason that is so inspiring to me is that 5 years ago, when you didn't get that position, you still didn't quit. You know, you knew somewhere down the line, this door will open and I'll walk in and I'll throw in my hook. If it comes, it comes. and you take it. And that's the biggest lesson, where you do not quit. You focus on what your target was, and this position came through merit. And Honorable Martha was speaking about that this morning, where you find for women especially, when you see women rise to the top, it's always everything else apart from merit. But you know, yours is unquestionable. It's merit, and we've seen your journey as a defender of human rights, gender rights, your work with children. We have seen that it speaks for itself. And so in terms of the family unit, for example, your work in the defense of the family unit, women and children, where do you think, or rather, what do you think needs to be done within that unit for families to raise their children as change makers?
And join you to celebrate the change makers. When I got the invitation and I read a little literature about Ashoka, I felt like I am one of you. Because I was inducted into leadership by my mother, I think when I was 4 years old, trying to mimic handwork and trying to understand that if I did something that relieved the pain and the heavy burden that she bore, to bring us, I think this is already public knowledge that we were 18 of us from a polygamous household. My mother was the first wife, and we were 9, and I was the 8th born. So I would always look around to see what it is that I can do to relieve the pain from my mother. And I'm saying this to tie it to the question you have asked me about families. And that's why I'm very, very passionate about families, empowering families to bring up children properly, children who are empowered, children who are focused from the very beginning to know that whatever circumstances you're in, you can always overcome so long as there is love and support around the children. So this is a message that I carry because I believe the family is very, very important. And this is why I do some work for children. It was not within my job description as a judge in the Court of Appeal. I just saw that children who come in the justice system fall within the cracks. They are supposed to come so that they are corrected, they are rehabilitated, and they can be helped to adjust back to the society. But I realized the way we were treating them when they are in conflict with the law, or even when they are witnesses, they are victims of offenses, it makes them worse. And when you look back, some of them, the families, actually, when the child is not narrow and straight, they don't want to deal with that child. They say, Serikali, deal with the child. And there is a misconception out there that the government is actually taking these children so that they can take them to school, the rehabilitation schools and the postal institutions. So this is why we have to focus on the families and tell them it is possible to bring up children. And when you're bringing up children, they have to take part, and that's why we have reviewed the Children Act. The bill that is now pending and it's in the floor of Parliament, and I'm hoping that it will become law soon, it has a section on what is the child responsibility. Because we moved from our African custom where children become part and parcel of participating in all the activities of the family and community, and we started terming it as the child labor. It wasn't child labor when I fetched water to help my mother so that when she comes from the shamba, she doesn't have to run to the shamba and to the river, and I've just been at home. It wasn't child labor that I had to look for firewood and put fire going so that when my mother comes, she doesn't have to go and fetch, firewood. So we have given children responsibility. The children have got to grow up supporting the family, doing what they have to do to support the family, but they also have to go to school. They have to be taught to focus on the bigger picture. I've been all over speaking to children, both boys and girls, telling them there is no hurry in anything in life. Maybe you have heard me on the media when there was a campaign that let us lower the age of sexual consent. And I said from a child protection perspective, a child rights defender, we cannot go that way because we had people come from Europe and tell us a different story. And we told them, look, here we are battling early child marriage. We are battling FGM, which is supposed to prepare girls for marriage. We cannot lower the age of 18. If anything, we need to increase it because where are these girls running to? Even when they are 30, they'll be free to engage. Even if they are 60 like me, nobody stops them. So, so this is a campaign that I have done from deep in my heart that we need to empower families, never to give up the responsibility of loving their children, guiding their children, and engaging their children in the community work and in the family work, because that is how they build their skills that help them later in life. Yes. That's why it starts. Yes.
Being a change maker starts within the family unit. Wow, thank you for that. David, your work with E for Impact, you've trained close to 1,000 social impact entrepreneurs. And what are some of the elements that go into this training that have spoken to the success you've witnessed to these entrepreneurs?
Thank you for the question. So I'm David from E4 Impact. E4 Impact stands for Entrepreneurship for Impact. And I'm glad here that we've had good partnerships with Shangaza, Brother Jonas, with Ashoka. Actually, our founder is a senior Ashoka fellow and really recognized because of the training that we are doing. So if it comes to the question that you're asking about training, as in, I think the vision and the motto of the training that we carry out, we actually say we don't teach entrepreneurship, but we train impact entrepreneurs. So I think there is a very big difference between training and teaching. In most of the institutions where we come from, there's a lot of teaching that goes on, but not really about training. Because training is how to become. You model, so you want someone to, let's say, be a change maker, a social entrepreneur, and you want to train them on how to become, and not just pass the notions. Because then that other notion is you're just passing information and not making someone to be. So within, let's say, our training, we focus on the end result. What do we want this person to become? And that sort of is very important for the beginning. How do you identify or choose this person? What kind of pedagogy will you take them through? And we have to see the whole training almost sort of in a value chain, where if you take someone on board, they need support mechanisms, they need systems. Yeah, and I think we speak about the entrepreneurial ecosystem, an ecosystem that will make this person thrive. So, and I think that's what we provide, and that's what we try to do as we do the training. So, good pedagogy training, yes. Linkages, you have to link this person to, let's say, funds, investment opportunities, market opportunities. You have to link them to other mentors, other coaches that can really work with this person to really become an entrepreneur. So that's really the training when we really speak about training.
Okay. So what you said is you start with what does this person want to become? Then you work backwards.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's really impressive. Wow, thanks for that. One of the key pointers that came out of the Changemaker map that was presented this morning is a big challenge, especially for young people. And this you'll be answering also to what Jean asked, is financial. So from research drawn from all over the country, financial challenges was number one. And so in this regard, what are some of the innovative ways that people can overcome this hurdle?
All right, thank you very much. So I come in on two hats today as a founder for a fast mobile transfer payment platform. So I'm speaking as an entrepreneur in that sense with a startup, but I'm also coming in as an expert in business, providing technical support, mentorship through the SME Business Clinic. So what I have known over the years and through my experience, both as both local and international advisor, is that indeed finance is a challenge, but it's not, there are different aspects of challenge of finance. There's an issue of access, there's an issue of knowledge of where do we actually find who to finance, right? So it's just not finance. So in fact, one of my questions that I was going to pose for the research team, that it would be good to look at the variables and see what exactly what the issue that we're raising. Is it an access to finance, or is it an issue of knowledge of where to find finance? You know.
Arnold, are you here? Come and give that clarity, please. What was the...
Yes, thank you so much for that question. So much of the challenges that were mentioned around finance is access. But of course, this study, we just wanted to identify, the mention of the key challenges. So finance being one of them, the access to it is taking the center stage for now. But of course, like a study, it's something that we are looking to study into details. And we are actually going to do a follow-up survey for those who did this to try and understand into details what are the actual challenges that come with finance.
Yeah, because finance comes with an issue of cost. There could be access, but there's an issue of cost implication. Is it affordable for the entrepreneurs? Can they afford it? Will it make business sense, or will it destroy the business that they're actually building? So one of the things that I would say as at SME Business Clinic is that we've developed a tool, and the tool is a startup tool that also makes you like an investor ready. I went to one of the workshops and I realized that in my master's thesis, what I did was in private equity and venture capital in the country. And the shock on me was 80 to 95% of either the fund manager or the beneficiary of the PE and the VC funds, which is the venture capital fund, were basically most foreign businesses. So you find they're in Kenya, but a lot of it was financing foreign business. And I would say without a doubt, because I'm talking from my own research paper at my MBA class. And then I realized that then there's an issue, there's a disconnect here, and the disconnect is this. A number of times when we are going to pitch as African businesses, and Kenya in particular, I mean, of course, that goes across Africa, is that we don't know our story. So whereas you are trying to understand the business model of the person presenting, or the entrepreneur, the foreign business has actually articulated it and made it so quickly in the next 60 seconds, you're actually in it as an investor. So what we're trying to do is then help businesses, because finance is an issue, but what is your story? And is it innovative enough? Is it compelling enough for me to actually remove my money with or without a doubt? I mean, without a doubt that I'll put my money into that business because of the story that is compelling enough. So having said that because our storyline seems a bit disconnect, I mean, not really there, a bit distorted in a sense that it takes you, if you're doing a presentation, you probably understand the business model in the 11th slide, whereas some people in the first slide, somebody has already seen what the business model looks like and has actually put their money in. Now, if we are looking at innovation into how we can finance, and I like what he said, dependency on outside fund is not thing. A number of times, Kenyans themselves will not be willing to put their own money to somebody, even your own brother. You only see already a failure. Nobody has the ability or just the potential. Okay, let me trust. Of course, some has come because people have been made to, people have entered into entrepreneurship or business when a majority of them should have actually been employed. They're not necessarily entrepreneurs. So we are actually creating it by force because you don't have an income. And you're not a business person. Are you business ready? Are you really an entrepreneur? Have you tested your idea? What market research have you done? Who are you targeting with the actually product you're trying to sell? Is it an innovation? Because half the time is a copy me too strategy. You went to Dubai, you brought in things and you can sell it. And now that has killed innovation. And the people who are really innovators, there's nobody giving them the airtime to show them that actually these people are doing something. So there's a lot of Me Too strategies, and that means then financing becomes a challenge. Now, the innovation here is, I think for me, I mean, from where I stand in, and I believe that one of the things that we can do is really create, that philanthropic that my sister there talked about. How do we just even create some funds that actually, but it's not a fund you give like the youth fund that is going to go, and sometimes we don't know what has happened to it, or the women fund, but we are giving with a purpose. We are actually financing with a purpose because the business model has been tested and we can see the innovation. So that is the one way that people can do. Within ourselves here as Kenyans, people of high net worth that have money seated in their accounts, but somebody only just need a small percentage of that money to be able to actualize their vision or their dream or their business.
Okay, so you spoke to foreign institutions based here, but serve more companies abroad than local companies.
Finance.
Yes.
Yes, finance.
That's a travesty, isn't it?
It is. It's a sad affair, but that's the reality. And then it's known, it's in the papers actually, it's documented research. Because that's what it is. Yeah.
So what would you say that makes for a compelling story? Because you say for their proposals, and also Brother Jonas could contribute to this. If their proposals have what they want to be in the past life, and our proposals, meaning Kenyans, are bottom, where are we missing it?
When I say that it's not, when I say the slide's not at the bottom, is can somebody in the first 60 seconds, can somebody actually understand what your business model is?
So like an elevator pitch?
It is.
Got it.
Right?
Wow. Okay.
So that's one thing. So the challenge that we have is that there are people who have, most people, there's lack of mentorship and support. And as a business, the reason why I set up SME Business Clinic is I realized that every human being, so often, you either want to check the doctor or whether you're sick or something is happening, and you always periodically visit the hospital. But unlike human beings, our own businesses, we don't subject it to the same thing that actually the business, I need a third eye to have a look at that business and just let me know whether the heartbeat is okay, whether the things. And that is why statistics always repeat itself year in, year out, that we don't reach our second, third, or even the fifth birthday when we start the businesses. So in this case, then I would say that there's need by a mentorship, and there's need by every person actually as a change maker. And everybody has something to give into the society, and particularly to the young people. I heard their story, the one that I've come up with the sign language, I think that's a really good innovation. Yeah. And what kind of support are they getting, and what kind of, and who is helping them really? How are they going to scale? What is their market go to market strategy looking like? Who are they targeting? And how can it be made known for them? Who is supporting them? You see, as good as the innovation is, without really support, it will go down. And you find that some very good businesses have gone down, right? Because there's also issues of, after you've been there in that business for so long as a founder, I'm not able to now step in and say, okay, we need fresh blood to come in. So I know I'm mixing quite a lot of things to say, but I'm excited about this. So yeah.
Very well understood.
Yeah.
I'm informed two other panelists are online, so as we get ready to go to them, that's Salma Kaltar and Peter Olo will be coming to you in a bit. But a question for you, Lady Justice Martha Koome. Does our constitution favor and protect the cause for social enterprise here in Kenya? And how so?
Yes. Yes, our constitution is very encompassing in terms of protection of property, creating an enabling environment where everybody can be able to realize their full potential. The disconnect is in the implementation, especially the service delivery. Because the broad principles are there, protected in the Constitution, and they have even been cascaded into legislations that the Companies Law, the Registration of Businesses Act, and other regulations that follow. I don't think we are short of the laws and the regulations that enable people to do business. But the implementation of that is the problem. From the way we do licensing, from the way we register business, from the way we deal with the business people in terms of compliance with taxation, that is where the problem is. Because if you just want to register a company, you will register a company. I don't think it is that efficient. The last time I heard was it takes a bit of time to register your company or to register your business. And should a dispute arise on the manner in which you want to proceed with the business, and the matter comes to court, then you will encounter more delays. Those are delays in the service delivery. But the framework of enabling people to do business, to thrive, to realize their potential and their dreams, it is there. So this is a question of reaching out to those points where we are delivering services for business and ensuring that the change makers are there to support incubators of business, to support innovators of business, working closely also with KRA and letting them understand that they have to support this business so that it can grow and so that they can move with them to the level of where they will be able to collect taxes from them, instead of killing them, nipping them in the bud so that you are not even able to collect that tax because they have already died. Yeah, so this conversation of Achoka on how to empower innovation and businesses will have to move to those points of service delivery. When it comes to the judiciary, I don't want to go ahead of myself, but even from just the position of a senior citizen, a judge in the Court of Appeal, I know we have issues in determining cases expeditiously so that we can support a thriving economy of innovators and people who want to do business with ease. So those are issues to be addressed. Yes.
We're looking forward to that happening as soon as the nomination is confirmed. So David, so now going to what Jean asked earlier on about young people and the opportunities for advancing the Changemaker movement in Kenya, what are they? And how can young people engage?
It's a good question. And when she spoke, My Sparkles, right? That's our company. And Africa Connect Textiles is one of the companies that, as if for impact, we've actually accelerated And we're happy to mention, actually, they closed a round of funding, almost 400,000 euros, almost 2 months ago. So we handheld them, we supported them, and they've grown. So I think that what the young people need, as in how to be engaged, but I think first of all, they need to be engaged. I think that's really the key point. As in, and if I have to think about our experience, how have we engaged young people? There's a lot of engagement, almost in the urban cities, in Nairobi. If you go to Ngong Road, I think a lot of incubators, accelerators, there's a lot of that is happening there. But what about the rural areas? What about other counties that are not in Nairobi? And I think that slowly by slowly, we actually sort of devolving this youth engagement. And I think that needs to happen more as a first step to really to devolve how we engage in the youth. So I think we are implementing some projects in far off-land counties, West Pokot, Isiolo, and stuff like that. And we are telling our partners on the ground, let's try to see and do what is happening in Nairobi also here, so that we can engage more people. So that is, I think that's a way that we can do it. Then the other thing of really engaging the youth and for what I've seen is always to begin with who they are and what they have. What is their context? They're coming from a rural setting, so they're in agriculture or their parents in agriculture. Can we start from there? Can they start those income-giving activities, social enterprises, beginning from what they know and who they are? And we shouldn't aspire and tell them you need to build, I don't know, a tech innovation, while they've never even seen one. So beginning from who they are and what they have, and in their context is, I think it's a very good thing of how to engage.
Yeah.
Then I think we still have to continue providing resources that they need. In our programming now and other partners too, we're thinking about, of course, sometimes they lack capital. Maybe this should not be the first thing they would say, I don't have capital, so I don't start. But even at the same time, for the ones who have started, are we providing funds for them? I don't know, in other forms that are easy, revolving fund, crowdfunding, are we introducing them to the concept? I think we spoke about it during the break today, about how as Africans, we like to support each other a lot, fundraising. But how can we tweak that in a way that really supports them in those crowdfunding platforms and so on, that they can then tap into the resources that could really empower?
Yeah. Thanks for that. Agriculture seems to be coming up a lot in today's conversation, even the morning panel. I recall Dr. Florence Ombogu spoke to that, and also Honorable Martha Kalua, and also Charles. There's lots of agriculture has a very huge potential for change makers to get involved in our country. So, Brother Jonas, what other enterprises are there that people can get involved in?
Yes, of high potential for the young people today is renewable energy. One of them is renewable energy. Then we have waste management. That's a huge problem, huge social problems. You know, in the cities, even sometimes in some of the counties. That is another potential area. Recycling, that's also a huge potential for the young people. Tech, I think the possibility in the tech sector is unlimited. Okay, innovation in the tech industry is unlimited. That's something also. I know that there are many organizations now that are trying even to offer 12 weeks, 3 months, competence-based training in tech. So I think that's another area that young people should be looking into in terms of even using those solutions to plug into other sectors, because you can use it across sector. In education. I think also there is potential in education, and we can change the way education is offered. And if young people can think around differently, how you can deliver education. So I think there is also possibility for them. You can create social enterprise around education. We are seeing more and more of that coming. So I think some of these are some of the high potential sector that young people should be looking into. Say, how do we actually innovate in this area? So listening to the story of our young people this morning, I think it's inspiring. And I was mentioning that, you see, there is a lot of interesting things happening, but we need these young people who are taking initiative to tell their story, or we need the media to tell the story of these young people so that other people can say, look, he did it. Why not me? Okay, so we need to amplify the story of the young people so that they can inspire others. And I think we have been talking about the movement of Changemaker. How do we create this movement of Changemaker? By really helping everybody to get into that, And the initial question was on these dependency syndromes. Even if you take young people out of that, they realize, oh, even in my own environment, there is something I can do even to change the environment. Then I become a change maker. So we get all these people in the movement of change making.
So it starts with who you are and where you are. Okay, thanks for that. Allow me to now introduce our panelists who are joining us online. We have Salma Kaltar from Mombasa County. She's the founder and president of Mentor Transform Yield organization. And we also have Mr. Peter Olo, who's the chairman and CEO of Social Enterprise Society of Kenya. So I'll start with you, Salma. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear us clearly? Okay. Could we work on our audio a bit more? So, Salma, you run a very strong and vibrant mentorship organization in Mombasa County, and you've done this for quite a number of years. What impact have you seen in regards to the value of mentorship towards this Changemaker movement, in the Changemaker journey?
Thank you so much, Catherine. I think for me, I will look at the internal progress more than the external progress. Yes, in terms of impact, so many of these people have been able to create their own startups, have been able to, create opportunities for themselves, and also through like the networks that I've created and managed to share partnerships. There's been so much externally that has happened that has changed their lives in one way or another. But I feel like what is most essential is the internal progress. Seeing some of the mentees come to me and say that, you know what, it is because of these programs that I've been able to become a better person. I've been able to, understand the importance of service because somebody has helped me in some point. So I want to help others as well. And people coming to you and telling you that it is because of this program that I want to become a bit like more hardworking, to shift my perspective, change the way I think I look at things, broaden my horizon. And I think for me this is substantial impact. This is something that you cannot really count. It's not like money. It's not like, I feel it's really huge because it really builds somebody's self-esteem. It really builds somebody as a person themselves, and also how they're going to interact with other people, and how they're also going to create sort of like a multiplier effect of impact. Because if they've been able to change themselves, then they can be able to change other people as well, and these other people change other people as well. So it becomes sort of like all this, ripple effect that has been created by the work of just mentoring somebody into believing that they can be what they want to be.
I like that. So some threads seem to be forming here. I don't know whether the rest can see that. In the morning, Honorable Martha Karua spoke to believing in yourself, like no one can do that for you. And having the confidence, you have to go at it 100% because then 50% doesn't serve you. And so now you come on and you speak to mentorship and you say that the change first is internal before it reflects outside. So I like what I'm hearing today. And again, the networking is also a thread that's coming through today for all the change makers. Salma, please stay on. We'll still come back to you. I want to go to Peter. Are you here with us? And can you hear me clearly?
Yes, Catherine, I can get you clearly.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Okay, so as the co-founder, CEO, and chairman of PESOC, which areas have you gotten it right as a nation? Where have you failed? Or where do you still have opportunity to improve?
Catherine, you are breaking. I don't know if there's a connection from my side. Just repeat the question, sorry. I'm on travel, so I've just settled somewhere to attend the event.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for making the time for that. So my question, am I clear to you or am I still breaking up?
You're saying?
Okay. Regarding social enterprise, from this nation's perspective, where have we gotten it right? And which areas do we still have the opportunity to improve?
Okay, yeah. So let me start by first of all briefly introducing myself. And first apologies to Ashoka, East Africa team, and the organizers of this event. I was supposed to be in Tangaza physically, but I got an urgent business travel, so I had to attend to this. But because of our relationship with Ashoka, I had to create time for this. So I'm Peter Olo. I'm the chairman and CEO of Social Enterprise Society of Kenya, which is the umbrella body for people who use business to address the world problems. You know, as social entrepreneurs, social enterprises. As a membership organization, we're based in Tangaza. Our office is not far from where you are sitting now, on D10. So we run and bring together social enterprises across the country. Our membership is currently about 130 for the 3 years we've been in operation. So straight to your question, where have we got it right? One way we have got it right is to create strong partnerships with the ecosystem stakeholders. And I believe because of that, that is where now we are all here today discussing the Changemaker, discussions. So one way is to, as ecosystem stakeholders, if for impact I can see David there, Brother Jonas, we have decided, we decided that now can we work as a team to shape the social entrepreneurship ecosystem. So through partnerships, we have been able to increase the visibility of the ecosystem, and we believe that the traction has been very interesting. The other way I've got it right is in terms of, seeking recognition of government. What I mean here is that social enterprise ecosystem is right now known within government circles, and one way that we can say that the government recognizes the sector is we are currently working on social enterprise policy, and the panel, some of, E4 Impact, Tangaza, Ashoka are part of this. So we believe that with having the legal framework in place, because currently Kenya doesn't have one, you cannot start a social enterprise legally. The ones that are there are operating through different legal forms. So we have also got it right by pushing for social enterprise policy for the country. And maybe the third point is starting training institutions. Tangaza, where we are sitting now, is running an MBA program on social entrepreneurship. Because when you capacity build, social entrepreneurs, then now you are be able to have the right people doing the right things at the right time. So Tangaza is very strong in this, running the MBA program, and believe through capacity building, then now we can be having, people knowing that, yes, we are running social enterprises, and this is the right way to do it. So Catherine, I think for those 3 points, I may, if I get them, I can add more. But for now, I think, just to add, we have acceleration programs. If for impact, David sitting there has been accelerating, social impact businesses. And I think that is also one way that we can say that we're having it right. Moving business from startups until they scale. So in a way, that is one way we are getting right in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Peter. Salma, also the Global Peace Ambassador for Mombasa County. What would you say is the importance of peace in realizing our dreams as social entrepreneurs?
I feel like peace is something very, very integral because we all want peace for us to exist, for us to be more productive, for us to be able to achieve our goals and aspirations. So I think we all play a huge part when it comes to ensuring that there's peace around us, because this directly or indirectly affects our lives. So I feel like when it comes to, I work with majorly women and youth. So I feel like women and youth can be active, but are active participants when it comes to peacemaking. So they have to, first of all, understand the importance of peace and understand the role that they play in fostering peace within the communities. And I also feel like once, when peace is understood like something very, very integral, then it is so easy for us to achieve diversity, to understand that, yes, we might have differences, we might have different opinions and views, but we are all, our differences are what makes us unique. So we learn to focus on increasing our diversity and taking that as a way in which we can be able to be more productive and respect each other. So that is one. Another thing is, I feel like the value of peace when it comes to the idea of change making is being able to focus on development. Personally, I'm very, very passionate about the Africa Rising narrative, and I'm so passionate about storytelling. So I feel like when if young people in Africa and women in Africa understand the importance of peace, then we can be able to all play a part in ensuring that we are developing ourselves as people and developing our communities. And I say, as for me, like the importance of stories, like, as I said, I use stories as a way, apart from mentorship, I use stories as a way of magnifying or talking about social changes and social issues. So I feel like if this is something that we can also tap into when we are looking into peace, then it can allow us to get to where we want to be. And I feel like peace also allows us to foster like education and awareness. This is like very, very self-explanatory. And I think I've kind of talked about the awareness part. When women or youth are aware of their rights, when they are aware of the importance of not having conflict within the communities, then there's so much that they can be able to achieve for themselves and for the people around them. And I also believe that it can also allow room for more creativity and innovation, because when you are in a place whereby you are safe, when you are in a space whereby you feel like you are free from harm, then you end up becoming very, very creative, and you end up becoming more innovative. So I think that the value of peace cannot be underestimated in such within the change makers, because I feel like we can become more creative people, we can become more innovative, and we can actually change ourselves in a larger scale. And yeah, so I think I don't know if that's really, if I can continue or if that's fine.
That covers it. Have more time, we'll continue. We appreciate your contribution, Salma. I'm informed we have a question from someone online. Could we see the question, please? Okay, as they get that together, Lady Justice Martha Gomez, still on the thread of peace that Salma spoke to, you find, especially in our nation, when we're approaching the election season, when there's political fever, change makers get affected. It doesn't matter which industry, which community, just something just happens. What would you say is the role of judiciary in safeguarding the change maker movement, especially when we have high political tensions in the country?
Oh, wow. Sometimes, as a judge, it's very difficult to speak about things that are anticipated, things that are going to happen in the future, because we deal with life cases of where the law has been broken. But what you have asked, I think, is very critical. Because we find ourselves on the edge every time we are approaching the general elections. There will be disturbance, businesses will be disturbed, they'll be closed, they'll be burnt down. That anxiety is always there. This is where change makers come, to let people know that they are agents of themselves. Everybody is an agent of themselves when it comes to building peace and maintaining peace and ensuring that there is respect for one another, and there is a peaceful coexistence wherever we live. When I was in the civil society, which is many years, because I've been a judge now for 18 years, we used to do civic education. And the civic education was about empowering people so that they can participate in a peaceful election to change the society. and to shun away from violence, because at the end of the day, violence will not add value in our lives. Even if we go and fight each other, we must always, at the end of it, go to the table and sort out our problems. So the message that everybody who is a change maker should be propagating is that we are responsible for our own peace, and we are responsible for ensuring there is a peaceful coexistence, and violence does not add any value. Even if we fight, we must go to the table and negotiate what it is that we do not agree with. That is the message I would send out to Kenyans, that we don't allow people to make us hate one another. Everybody is a Kenyan or is here as of right, and everybody is a stakeholder, even in the political seats that are there. Everybody is a stakeholder. There are those who will go for them. There are those who will do the voting. Let us just carry out our civic duties while maintaining a peace. Then, of course, we have the government that is in charge of ensuring that there is safety and security for everybody. But we all realize that when it comes to undertaking such a major event of ensuring there is peace, we all become participants. We all become government. We guard our spaces as our own government. We guard our families. We guard our spaces as if we are government by taking the responsibility of ensuring that there is a peaceful coexistence, and if there are disputes, let them be resolved in the manner that is provided for in the law. The police will do their work, the judiciary will do its work, but also the civic duty of every citizen is bestowed on them to participate in building peace and building a community that respects resolving their disputes in an orderly manner. We have this unit called Nimbakumi. I don't know how strong it is, but when I went round as the chairperson of the National Council on the Administration of Justice Special Task Force, we had occasion to meet with a few of them. And they have fantastic forums where they resolve disputes appearing within the cluster where they live. Even cases involving children who are not going to school because of one problem or the other will be taken to that Nimbakumi, and they will supervise that child to go back to school, and have even activities that are supervised by one community. I mean, one member sees that children after school, they are playing football and they are supervised. You know, this ownership of our own problems and finding our own solutions, like I heard somebody say, all these problems are ours. We have the capacity to deal with our own problems and to solve our own problems without calling upon somebody from outside to come and solve our own problems. We have what it takes to create the peace, to maintain it, and to guard it from those who may wish even to come and disturb it. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for that. Our online question ready? Okay, so Guy Harris asks, how do we create more entrepreneurial models for our youth who are too often wooed by the drug lords and gang lords in informal residential areas? Each of you will take that question. I will start with you, Brother Jonas.
I will say, first, let's tell our story, okay? I insist on that because we have so many beautiful stories that can inspire even the young people who are trapped into this. And that will be the first thing. The second thing is out of experience. Even people living in a very tough environment, they are so much caught into that they don't think there are possibilities for them. Okay, so what do? Let's show them that there are possibility in that, even that tough environment, so they are able to transform the challenges around them and then get out of this law or whatever and become now entrepreneur in their own environment. If 1, 2, 3 young people are able to do that, you see, we automatically create a chain of young people getting to see, oh, this one is able to do it, and then we can do it. And so I think it's possible through training, through mentorship. It has come again and again that we are able really to help young people get out of those situations where they are caught.
Vasily, what's your take?
Okay, one of the things that I would say to create models is, I think I've been sitting here and I've been wondering whether I would say this. You know, the one thing that happens here is when people finish campus or university, or before they even go to campus, as they're growing up, there's something that is important for different other countries. Probably they have done it, where you get people in and create them into that, come to actually see the real life, what the real life looks like. Because there's too often people have been wooed into making it cheap. Tomorrow I own a Mercedes Benz, I have a car, I have this deal. So there's a lot of hustling in the street, but it's not sustainable. But if we can begin to inculcate a culture where young people are actually given an opportunity to come and see real life, whether in terms of even as business people, their partner, you know, you bring somebody who's in particular areas where they can actually see what's going on and how you can navigate, what's the story. And I like what you said, it's the storytelling. But then in addition to that storytelling, can we bring some sort of partnership? Can we bring some mentorship on board that would actually help the people to see that it is possible? And there's this, whether from high school, you know, going up, that's in the holidays. I don't know if you, in the Asian community, every Saturday you see the young children, they're in their father's businesses, right? In my own community, and in our African community, what your father is doing, they don't even want you to know, right? Yeah, you don't know what they're doing. They don't want you. I mean, you're sent to go and read the books, but then there is no continuity in that sense. So you think that money comes very quickly because you ask for a mobile, now a phone, you'll be bought, a PlayStation will be given, but there's nothing that shows you that you actually need to see the real hard work. You know, I had one of my friends say that although she is well off, she always have to take the children in Kibera to see what life look like. So I believe in providing that opportunity for people at very tender age, so that people can begin to even really know what they want to do in life. Yeah, and it also shaped them into, well, what am I going to study? Because sometimes people just find themselves somewhere there.
Lady Justice said earlier on, her first answer was starting at the family unit, what you've also spoken to now.
Precisely.
Yeah. David?
I don't know whether we question how to create more. I don't know whether the question is creating more, or is it a question of recognizing what is already there? If I have to think about Ashoka, for instance, and what they do, recognizing what they call the Changemaker schools. These are schools in very informal settlement, as in run not in the traditional way. Someone comes and thinks, okay, there are these young people, what do I do with them? How can I informally train them? If we recognize those people who are doing that, I think we are really on a great path already. As in, there have been some projects where we've actually volunteered as mentors, as judges, as just to give advice and so on, like solo projects in the heart of Kibera. As in, they are recognizing youth who are talented, because I think in these informal settlements and so on, we don't really lack talent. Yeah. But the issue is, how do we turn that talent into an enterprise, a social model that is sustainable, that inspires others? So I think it's sort of our collective responsibility to recognize and give value to what is already happening. If we can hold on and build more of that, yeah, I think we really can solve the issue in a big way.
Yeah, and also make people more aware that this exists, because I think that's a huge gap. And Charles spoke about it in the morning, the role the media plays. but also not just the media. The flip side of that should be people taking personal initiative to find out this thing that I want to do, who can help me navigate my way through, and finding the relevant mentors, the relevant teachers in that field. So it also starts with that personal initiative, going out of the way to look for this more entrepreneurship model. Lady Justice, your answer to this question?
Okay, I was just going to adopt the submissions of my colleagues here, but because you're talking about creating more, we are involved in an exercise of the institutionalization of children owning facilities. And we have so many of them. The rehabilitation schools, the remand homes, where, you know, correctional kind of centers. And Rin is very passionate about that institutionalization of children who are in conflict with the law or who have an infraction here and there does not help them.
Yeah.
So those centers should be innovative centers where we could do this training that we are talking about, training the youth to be innovative, to become entrepreneurs. So that's what I can say. These facilities there, because when the idea and the government has adopted that policy, the people who run those institutions, because they employ many people, were feeling that their jobs are threatened. So they hang on to, you know, let's continue admitting children here. So they will be retrained to train these children into doing, into entrepreneurship. And they will remove them from the hands of the drug roads and the gang roads. And this training can happen very, very effectively, because if you use the children, that is how you will actually get to know even who the Lord, and then you deal with the Lord, according to the Lord, the children.
Thank you for that. Peter Law, are you still with us? You'll be taking our final question today. You're still present. Can you hear me?
Yes, Catherine, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So, your thoughts
Hello, Catherine?
Yes, please.
Repeat the question. Repeat the question, please. Sorry.
My question is, give us your thoughts on how we now build a connected to advance the Changemaker movement in Kenya.
I'm having issues with getting you. Maybe you can type in the chat box so that I can answer. I don't know.
Okay.
Because yeah.
Thank you for that.
I'm in a poor network. I said I'm traveling, so apologies for that. But if it can be typed, I can answer the question.
Okay, we will do that.
Okay.
Unless you want to take a question, and before you do, just alert the audience to take one or two what to take as theme for this event, even a reminder. So Arnold, you have the microphone there. Just randomly pick one or two people to share their take home from today's incredible event. Brother Jonas, how do we build a stronger, more connected system?
I think what we need to is collaboration, collaboration, and collaboration. I think in the morning, Vincent talked about cross-sector collaboration. We know this is not an easy, social entrepreneurship is not very easy things to do. And we know the struggles. And nobody can claim to say, I can do it alone. In academia, we know very well that we can't do it alone. We train people, but we need others. We need Ashoka, we need Evo Impact, we need accelerators, So what we need to understand is that we cannot continue working in silos. If we want to create an enabling environment for our social entrepreneur. We need to hold hands, support each other, and believe that, okay, as we sit together and work together, we can create this enabling environment. Actually, that is why one of the things that we do with ACOSE, which is the annual African Conference on Social Entrepreneurship, we believe it's it's a Pan-African gathering of all those people who want to influence the ecosystem. Started here at Tangaza, now we run into the Ashoka, and we are looking at this as the biggest African convening for social entrepreneur and all those people wanting to influence the ecosystem. And by doing that, really we are going to, I believe that we will transform this continent that has so much potential. So I think this collaboration, partnership, working together is what is going to create this systemic change. Yeah, thank you.
Marceline, your final thoughts on how we build a stronger, more connected ecosystem.
Hello, Catherine.
Marceline, go ahead.
I would say this: every person and every individual, the way created, has something to put on the table, however big or small. So if each joint supplies, then it means things will be able to be resolved in certain way, and so that goes into understanding whether the different parts of the country we are endowed differently with opportunities and challenges. So when you look at what the challenge of another community or another area is, or another place is, there is a place where there's that strength that will be provided. So I believe that takes it that in that form, in addition to as we are aware, and I think the final thing that I would say is the information as well. When information is made available, then people can be able to tap into that opportunity.
Thank you for that. David?
I think that to build a more inclusive system, right, collaboration, which Brother Jonas was underlining, is really to see all of us, what you're also saying, as contributors to something bigger. We are all sort of part of the value chain, and we need to just understand which part are we playing in and who do we need, either at the backward side, at the front side, or we need someone. If we are very clear about that, we don't even compete, because you're just thinking, as in, you 40 million Kenyans or more.
Yeah.
Who is serving all of that? We can't. So the more we pool our resources together, the more we identify forums that bring us together to put our synergies together, the more we can build. But we have to believe in it for sure, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Actually, Honorable Martha Carey in the morning said there's someone who knows someone that you need to see or to meet. So there's absolutely no excuse to upon it for online audience. How will I get there? You know someone who knows someone who can introduce you to that person. So there's really no excuse. Collaboration is possible. And finally, Lady Justice Martha Koome, how do we build a stronger ecosystem in advancing this Changemaker movement?
Wow, I feel so empowered myself, and I'm wondering how this conversation can reach to many people who have some power of convening, to use that facility to just let people know that everybody is a change maker, that there is something I can contribute. You know, that I am gifted one way or the other, that nobody is useless. Yes, so this is what I would yearn for, how we can get a multiplier effect by getting people using their power of convening wherever you are. Even if you're just convening the family, just empower that setup of the family. If you are convening a congregation in a church, just empower them. If you are a teacher in a school, just empower that class that you're teaching. Every opportunity that you have to influence those people, to just empower them to bring out their best and keep out throughout bringing out their best.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. We're almost closing. We're almost closing, and we should have on standby the Executive Director of Ashoka Africa, Mr. Pap Sam. Before we get to him, Arnold, you're ready with some audience contributions on take home, what they've taken from
Sure.
today's. Okay, let's see.
Sure, I could get one to Ian here. Just your takeover.
So it's been a pleasure. Actually, I've really enjoyed it being in this particular room with all these brilliant minds. I think my take home out of this particular session, and has been mentioned so many times, is the need for collaboration in terms of one is not an island. So if one, I think what exactly has been mentioned every particular time, cross collaborations between different industries, between different individuals to get this particular change to happen. That's what exactly things are going to happen. And also I was very impressed by the gentleman and also the lady Jean, if I'm not wrong, in terms of just going for it, seeing a particular solution and just going for it. And I think that's what exactly the take home. All of us in our particular different designations, we just need to go for it and become a particular change maker. So I really appreciate all the guests, all the panelists. It's been a pleasure.
So do you commit to featuring Jean and Ella in your TV program?
Yes, definitely. That's why I'm here.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You know who to go for. You know he has a weekly show on television. Who else wants to contribute? Arnold?
Well,
Lynn. Nominated. Yes.
So I have been volunteered. Raising my hand. No, I'm very excited. I think why I have been very sensitive this last session is I'm just wondering, how can we complete all this power, all this greatness that lives in Africa in all of us? I think I've just been talking about the drop of greatness in every one of us. Find this out instead of going to bed when we are sitting on so much resource.
Yeah.
So I think if this be the way to go, I think we can continue to work with the shop. I'm actually you know, if you can convene us more with all the collaborative partners here with yourselves, I think we can make inroads and then just continue accelerate and get there. So I'm completely sold, and I believe that we can draw our users. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could you please give the microphone to Honorable Martha Karua to just give a final last shot?
I think I'd already sort of closed my mind, but just to open it a little, I will say this, that very good ideas flying around. But let us remember the issue of deficit of leadership. Wherever we have to go for leadership, no shortcuts. Let's go for the best. We have everything, but a deficit of leadership. Don't ever forget the power of your vote, even politically.
Ladies and gentlemen, both here physically and online, that marks the end, almost, of our program today. Just bear with us as we now just almost wind up, but you know we can't come to someone's house and just walk out. We need to hear from them. And so at this point in time, allow me to bring on the Executive Director of Ashoka Africa, Mr. Pap Sam. Are you online?
Yes, I am.
Oh, there you go. We can see you. You're most welcome, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity, and good afternoon to all of you, to all the participants, and a special good afternoon and thank you to the nominated Chief of Justice, Honorable Martha Karua. Want to also thank the different partners at Tangaza University, Vice Chancellor, the CARE Kenya Director, CARE Austria, ADA, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and all of you that I might not really mention your name. So I wanted to thank you for your contribution and your support to this conference. So I want to thank also the team, East Africa, Ashoka East Africa. I want to thank also Martha Kome. Sorry that I skipped that name. So I won't take you long because I know you guys are ready to head home. And this was a really, really, really productive session of collaboration. But I just wanted to share with you a few words. The first being that we are living right now in a new reality. We are living in a new reality, in a new inequality. And I think that's the challenge that we're all trying to figure out. The new reality is that the past 300 years, everything we've been doing is based on repetition, meaning that, you can go go to school and become a banker or become a cashier, and then you'll have a job for the rest of your life because you can repeat the same thing forever. That was really what happened in the past. But the new reality is that every 30 seconds, there is a new innovation in life. Every 30 seconds, there is something new. And the new reality as well is that with the growing population, we are leaving some people behind. There are people behind that we might not be able to keep up with what life has to offer and might not be able to have the opportunity to go to have the right education, might not have the opportunity to meet the right people, might not have the opportunity to have the right skills. And that really calls on humanity, on all of us, that there is an urgency for empathy, there is an urgency for humility, there is an urgency for change making. And that's why in this new reality, Ashoka really calls upon everybody to really join the movement of each, which is everyone a change maker. Because when we started in the 1990s, we were just selecting social entrepreneurs because we believe that social entrepreneurs can carry on others within their community and within their regions. So social entrepreneurs will come up with new innovation, new trend, and new solutions for their pressing problems within their community and influence policies, change it, help them with newer solutions that they carry in the policy-making system. But we said later on, around early 2000, we said that's not enough. We cannot rely on few social entrepreneurs to change the world. We need to face this new reality, as I said, that we need to collaborate, we need to create collective impact, we need to work together for things to do. We need to make sure also we're not leaving anybody behind, which really also calls on the new equality, which you already know and seen what's happening around the world. There's a lot of unrest, the populism, people are saying, oh, why this class is having this and we are not having this, which is the them versus us, and we want to avoid that. And this is why Ashoka now want to create really a systemic cross-sector and cross-country approach to make sure that everyone, especially in Africa, discover their power as a change maker. And that power is that empathy is really given to them, their agency is really given to them to change. There is opportunity to collaborate with other organizations, and there is a new leadership, like Martha just said, which is really entrepreneurship leadership, which is not a top-down leadership, but a collaborative leadership. This is really what we call for everybody to really collaborate. And that's why we want to thank the initiative coming from East Africa, Vincent and his whole team, to really build ecosystem that create a collective impact to come together and face this new reality and this new equality by giving everybody the power, by giving everybody the support, the tools to see that what's happening, what we're facing in this world, everybody has the potential to create, to innovate, to change, and also to anticipate what's happening in the next 10 years, the next 20 years, the next 50 years. So we don't just face what we face with COVID or we face with others. COVID has taught us a lot that if we collaborate and anticipate and not leave anybody behind, we'll be able to do things and then create a new world where everybody is a change maker, where everybody is equal, where everybody is a contributor. So I wanted to thank you and leave you with this words and thank all the partners again for this collaboration and hope this is just the beginning. And I heard there is also some commitment to work with us. We're open and we're ready to collaborate with all of you, but also to learn. So thank you so much and have a good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you very, very much for those remarks. And now, without further ado, he welcomed us into this event, has been speaking to most of us for the last many days. He's brought us all together in this room. And so would you help me welcome the visionary and steward of Ashoka East Africa, once again, Mr. Vincent Odhiambo. You're welcome.
Thank you, Catherine. And thanks everyone. So if you think PAP was a terrible mistake, you know, referring to Honorable Martha Karua as the incoming, you should know the mistake that almost costed me much more than that. When I was writing an email, following up, you know, on the invite, letter T at some point messed my email. So I was writing to Lynn and I'm saying, now I need to do this letter. But instead of letter W, T found its way into that. And then it was, now I'm not doing this letter. and Lynn was surprised because so she kept quiet for some time. But this has really been a great moment. Honorable Lady Justice, we really thank you for honoring this invite. You have spoken things that I would say we started talking about this earlier on, but for me, it's also at a very personal level. My work at Ashoka, I think one thing that I'm always reflecting back on is how is this connected to my own journey? And like I was saying during the break, if you want to understand your journey as a change maker, you reflect back to your growing up experience. What is that moment that set you on the path that you are in? And you touch on that, you know, with your story, and that is very powerful. So reinforcing what we always say, a change making starts from home. It starts, you know, where you are, and the adults around you moving barriers for you to thrive. So that's really powerful. Thank you for that. I also want to thank you, Honorable Martha Karua. You talked about leadership. And Brother Jonas, you reinforced that a bit when you talked of collaborative leadership. So the kind of leadership, and this will allow me to tell you just a little bit more about change making, the way we see it as Ashoka, and why we say this is important. We've talked about it because there is change happening, and people need to acquire some skills, and Papa already has talked about these skills. But there's a way you can also look at these skills away from just the brick part of building a venture. Because to build a venture, to build this movement, you need a particular kind of leadership, and that is the leadership that Honorable Martha Karua you're referring to. It needs a leadership that appreciates everyone around, and you know, a leadership that knows information and knowledge does not start and ends with you. It's everyone around you is a leader. But there's also something else about this kind of leadership. It is a kind of leadership that is an antidote to what we are seeing, hoarding of power. So whether you think about it as political power, in whatever space, there's hoarding of power. So the kind of change making skill, the leadership that we see within change making, when we refer to new leadership, is the kind of leadership that does not do that. Okay, it is an antidote to this kind of leadership that holds power, that holds authority, that feels everything has to come from it, going downwards. The other thing about this change making is when you talk about cognitive empathy. I mean, you need empathy to think about something beyond yourself. How are you going to innovate, like what Ellie is doing or Jen is doing? How are you going to think of a solution about something if you're only focusing on yourself? You need cognitive empathy. And that shows you then that cognitive is the antidote for inadequate love that, you know, we were beginning to see. There's a lot of us versus them. You know, whether you think about it from a gender perspective, from a generational perspective, but cognitive empathy then becomes the antidote for that. When you look at change maker skills again, and a lot has been talked about in terms of resources, you know, all the challenges that are being seen are basically a question of resource, whether it is finance, I'm not able to collaborate with, other people in other sectors. It is just resources. So the antidote to that again is also a skill that is found within change making, and that is collective, the teamwork that we refer to. So when you see yourself as, one piece of the biggest solution, then you will move beyond the inadequacy around resources. So you will see the networks that you have, the linkages that we have, and I appreciate, I could mention, like even my connection with Lynn, is how we got to have Honorable Matakaru and Honorable Chief Justice here. So it is looking at your network to overcome the inadequacy of resources. And again, it ties very well with what we're talking about in terms of, just power. How is power distributed, whether within family. And when you talk about change making starting early, it means giving young people, giving kids an opportunity to grow in that sense of confidence and a sense of freedom on what they can do. And that has to be deliberate, it has to be intentional. It cannot be any other way. You cannot just leave it to chance. So it is what births now creative problem solving. So when we look at our social entrepreneurs, the fellows that we have in our network, we see that the way they are solving the challenges that they are addressing, if you think about Dr. Florence, who was just speaking earlier, if you think about Aaron Washira, really know very well, they're not looking just at solving that problem at the surface level. And you refer to this as well, Justice Matakaru. You look at the system. What is it that is in the system that is causing this that needs to be addressed? And we see Ashoka Fellows doing this either through policy reforms. They look at what policy needs to be changed. We see them doing this by also mobilizing more change makers around them, providing spaces for more people to step up into the game, if I may, of change making. We also see them being very, very intentional in the way that they cause mindset shift. So all these are basically, I'm saying all this just to reinforce that really, when we think about the changes that we are seeing and where the world is going in the next 20 or so years, 30 years, it will be maybe 50 or to 70% of the world population will be change makers. So we need to be asking ourselves, the people who are around us, the younger people who are around us, even the older people who are around us, our age mates, our peers, are they getting the skills? Are they, showing change-making skills in the way they go about the business? And then also this conversation today has really helped us to see change-making from a different perspective, perspective that we sometimes struggle to see. Is change maker just a social entrepreneur? Must you be a social entrepreneur to be a change maker? And now we are seeing change makers, anyone. It's a parent, it's a sibling, it's your colleague at work, it's a head of department, it's just everyone. So as I conclude, and just saying thank you so much for all of you, all the panelists, the morning session, this session. Thank you so much for sparing time to even equip us more with the insights that can help us drive this as an organization and of course as a partnership. Because with this partnership, it was not just about finding out where these change makers are, it's also being very thoughtful. How do we drive this beyond just the map, knowing where they are and the opportunities that they are thinking about, the challenges that they are going through. It is going an extra mile. And that extra mile, like I said in the morning, we are not even deluded, even for a moment, that this is something that we can do by ourselves as a shocker, or just the partnership that you have with CARE, or just with the support from Austria Development Corporation. We know we need a wider spectrum of players to work with us. So thank you so much for those who joined us online. We are grateful, we are really grateful, and we hope that the 6 hours that we've been here together has been worthy every minute of it. Thank you so much, Catherine, for wonderful moderation. Thank you.
We are done. Thank you very much.
Do you love Gantt charts? Here's how easily you can build one in ClickUp. Let's map out the task.
Hapa ni damage. Maybe hata mkosa kurudi.
Kuna vitu narudisha nyuma?
Yes, all of them.
Oh. Unacheza gari yako?
Hata huwezi pata mafuta.
Nataka kutaka naikisha kazi.
Sio siwezi kutaka. This one is going to remove. See what to. You feel accountable for anything. Nini hapa hapa nyuma hivi ndio kutoka ikuwa vile ndio kwenda hivi ni wrong way.